Okay, so today's video is going to be battle of the super shoes, and that is me talking about, in my opinion, the three best super shoes on the market, and we're going to break it down and tell you sort of the differences and also how some might be better at some things and others might be better at different things. The three super shoes I think are the best on the market at the minute are the Alphafly 2, Alphafly NEXT 2, or whatever it's called. Problem with super shoes now, they've all got really long names, so the Nike Alphafly NEXT 2, the Asics METASPEED Sky Plus, the Vaporfly NEXT 2, Nike Vaporfly NEXT 2. For me, this was a really hard decision to determine which one was the best because they're all very, very good shoes and I'd wear each and every single one of them for races, but hopefully in this video you can sort of get a better idea of which one might suit you better, as well as maybe which one's the best in terms of performance and efficiency, and let us know your thoughts on each of these shoes if you've tried any of them, and if not, what is your current favourite super shoe on the market, and also what shoes are you most excited to buy in the coming months. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to cover is how fast each shoe is, and I'm talking if I wanted to do a flat out 100 meter sprint or like a flat out 400, and for me it is easily the Asics METASPEED Sky Plus. I personally think it is the most aggressive of the three shoes and also is the fastest in terms of your toe off and the push you get. I think the Vaporfly is the second fastest and the Alphafly is the slowest in terms of actual sprint speed or how fast you can run in them, purely because this is just much bigger and the Vaporfly is the Vaporfly, but the Asics just has the edge for me, which is funny because it's the Sky, not the edge. But yeah, next up is cushion, and obviously Alphafly 2 is the most cushioned and the most comfortable on this list. Then I would say the Vaporfly 2 or the Vaporfly NEXT 2 is the second most cushioned, and the third most cushioned, which is actually surprising to me when I put it on, because you kind of see it on people's feet and you think it's got quite a lot of cushion, especially in the forefoot. It doesn't. It feels quite a lot lower to the ground and a bit more aggressive and a bit less cushion, even though it does seem like it's got more cushion, especially in the forefoot. Next is the energy return, and Alphafly 2, most energy return. I think the bubble and the foam compound in this is just phenomenal in terms of the energy return it provides. It's a lot of cushion underfoot, and the way the carbon plate condenses and bounces back as well, it's kind of perfect in terms of what you give in is what you get back off the ground. Then I would say that these two shoes are very, very even in a sense of energy return. Maybe I'm inclined to say the Vaporfly NEXT might have like a marginal advantage in terms of energy return. I've not ran in this as much, so it's sort of biasness towards the Vaporfly. They're both really good shoes and they're both very similar shoes, but maybe the Zoom X in this gives a tiny bit more than the FF Turbo. The shape of the plate in this is a bit more aggressive than it is in the Sky, which has a bit more of a flatter plate. So maybe the energy return is bigger in here, but honestly it's too hard to tell. I can't really see much of a difference. So the next component is weight, and I like to look at weight in two different ways. Is the actual weight of the shoe, which you can see on the screens now for all models, and I also like to see how they feel underfoot, because you could have quite a heavy shoe what feels really light underfoot, or you could have quite a lightweight shoe what feels a bit heavier. The lightest feeling shoe underfoot is the Asics METASPEED Sky Plus, followed by the Vaporfly NEXT 2. There isn't much of a difference between these, but it's definitely noticeable that this feels lighter. As you can imagine, the Alphafly 2 is the heaviest and also feels the heaviest, even though for the weight of this shoe, it feels impossibly light on your actual foot, and the way it sort of toes off and snaps and how you can lift it, you'd expect it to feel heavier like the Alphafly 1, but for me, even though this is heavier than the first edition of the Alphafly, it feels a lot lighter on your foot. Other rankings I just want to briefly go over is the ones we normally do is upper, midsole and outsole. And I'm just going to tell you which one's first, second and third without going into too much detail. Upper, this is first, this is second, and this is third. Even though this is already really light, they could probably save quite a lot if they sort of copied the Nike upper a bit more in terms of the atom knit, and also reduced a bit of this around the collar because there's a bit of padding here what maybe doesn't need to be there. Alphafly is the best midsole. Then Asics METASPEED Sky Plus, I would say, and then the Vaporfly, even though, again, we're talking about amazing shoes. Like, these are the best shoes. All the midsoles are amazing. I just want to emphasize that, because if something's third on the list, it still is probably better than any other super shoe on the market. Outsole, I actually am a big fan of this outsole because I think it really epitomizes weight saving and also has good grip. So for me, the Asics METASPEED Sky Plus has the best outsole. Vaporfly is quite similar to the METASPEED Sky Plus in terms of weight savings. It's very minimal. So I'm going to say the Vaporfly is second and the Alphafly is third, even though I really do still like this outsole. There's more grip, even though I don't know how much more efficient the grip is. There's just more grip there, so it's going to be heavier, and it's sort of where the cutoff is. Okay, so those are the top 3 super shoes I've tried to date, and I just want to say the other super shoe that could be included, which I haven't tried, so I didn't add it, is the Adidas Adizero Pro 3 or Adizero Adios Pro 3. Again, really confusing names. That apparently is very similar to this and this, so you can sort of interchange them. I don't think they're any different. It's weird how all the super shoes are very, very similar now. You'd think like before we had Nike shoes really ahead of the game, when I do think this is now ahead of the game in terms of marathon super shoes, but in terms of overall super shoes or 5k and 10k, it's really hard to pick and choose. So my conclusion, the METASPEED Sky Plus, I would say road mile to a 5k, it's the best shoe, and as you get longer I don't think it gets worse. I just don't think it's as amazing compared to every other shoe. Like, that's what I want to sort of decipher, is what can this shoe do better than anything else, and for me that's mile to 5k. The Vaporfly NEXT 2, and I've put 5k to half marathon because it's very versatile and it's hard to deny that it has the half marathon world records, the 5k world records as well, I believe, or maybe Adidas owns the women's one, I'm not sure. 5k to half marathon, this is where the strength could lie, and a lot of people could possibly pick this shoe over the next shoe for those distances depending on preference. For me, and this is where it comes into a bit of biasness because it's my personal preference, I would say this 10k and upwards is the best, but I'm also going to say I acknowledge that people may want to wear the Vaporfly or this depending on what kind of runner you are. If you're more of an efficient or an aggressive runner, this or the Vaporfly is probably the best, but if you're like me, I just prefer cushion, or if you're like a heavier runner as well, I think this is probably the best, maybe even 5k upwards. But I'm going to, because I couldn't decide over the 5k, I'm going to put 7.5k to marathon, or past marathon if you do that, just because I don't think its strength is the 5k like these other 2 shoes really have. I still think it could run a very, very fast and good 5k. So I've put 7.5k, so it's somewhere in the middle between 5k and 10k, which is where I think this really comes into its own. And obviously upwards, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger because of the cushion and the energy return and just how much you're going to get leg saving. Like in the last half of a marathon, this is probably going to be a best friend in terms of any other super shoe on the market. This will be probably the best in terms of saving your legs. If you do want to get any of the shoes, I'm going to link them in the description. Hopefully I remember to do that. And let us know your thoughts on each of these shoes if you've tried any of them. And if not, what is your current favourite super shoe on the market? And also, what shoes are you most excited to buy in the coming months? For me personally, it's the Zoom Fly 5 from Nike because it looks phenomenal. And I'm also really intrigued to try the Saucony Endorphin Elite, which comes out next year, as well as the Asics Nova Blast 3, because Nova Blasts are amazing, and adding better foam, that's going to be an amazing shoe as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment anything, and goodbye.